Well, hey, you guys. So obviously there are some negative effects of the internet, but one of my favorite things about social media right now is our obsession with routines. So morning routines and skincare routines and cleaning routines and even money-related routines have started to become part of this fad. You know, I see cash stuffing, aka the envelope system, and loud budgeting, aka every dollar and actually budgeting. And so I love all these fads. They're so great. And today I'm sharing my annual investing routine. I'll explain my tried and true philosophy for investing, and I'll share my secrets when it comes to maximizing your investment potential. These are actual things that my husband Winston and I do every month, every quarter, and every year to make sure that we're investing wisely for our family's future. And stay tuned toward the end because I'm going to be sharing one of the things that changed my investment plan. Spoiler alerts, if you're on or approaching baby step 7, you'll want to stick around for this. But first, I want to make sure that we clear a few things up when it comes to investing, a little investing 101, if you will. If you are new to personal finance or you're unfamiliar with the concept of investing, these are just a couple of basics so that we all can get on the same page. So, what is investing? Well, investing is a strategic way of saving your money so that it grows over time. And the way that it's able to do that and to grow is through something called compound interest. And this is where your money makes money. Usually it's in the market and you're able to say, okay, it's going to make a 10% return. Well, the next year, your money doesn't make money on just what you put in. It makes money on what you put in and the 10% return you had the year before. So it keeps compounding and compounding, which means the earlier you start investing, the better off you're going to be, especially when it comes to things like retirement. So after a decade of seeing money growing and expanding on itself, you could see hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions added to your net worth, which is incredible. And again, it's all because you continued to contribute consistently and let your money grow over time. So why is this an important part of wealth building? Well, because no one wants to get to the end of their careers in their early 60s and realize that they have no financial cushion to carry them through the next phase of life. And if you're a millennial like me, we're all secretly pretending that we could stay in 2013 forever. But the reality is that, listen, life, it keeps going, right? And your job eventually will end and you're going to retire. So a little bit of planning is in order to make sure that you enjoy the last 20 and 30 years of your life. So what does it look like for the average working American? Well, it is best to invest 15% of your income into retirement accounts. These can be things like your 401k or 403b or a Roth IRA. Many companies have benefit packages that include a company match. So if you're able to contribute a certain percentage of your paycheck, your employer will actually match that contribution, which is incredible. Now, if this opportunity is not available to you, look into a Roth IRA because you're able to have full control over that. You can max it out and it's great. So I always say to go up to the match if they have a match and then go to a Roth. So those are what you want to do. Match beats Roth beats traditional is kind of the formula that we use. So when should you start investing in retirement? Well, I recommend investing in retirement after you've paid off all of your debt with your mortgage and you have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved in the bank. And remember, this is what's key about investing is that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, well, I've lost so much time because of those other things. So yeah, you may lose a couple of years, but for a lot of people, when they're investing, they're only investing, 3, 4%, maybe up to 6% because they have all their other income that they have to use to have some savings over here or to pay off, a car loan or they have a personal loan and their money is scattered. So what you do is pause investing, get that taken care of, paying off your debt and getting a fully funded emergency fund and then press play. And that way you can do 15% of your income into retirement. Okay, now that we've covered the basics, let's get into my investing routine. Well, first and foremost, every January, we sit down with our SmartVestor Pro and we look at everything. We look at the year before, we look at what's coming up, but sitting down with an investment professional, you guys, has been so helpful for us because he's been able to direct us and us see things, even change some stuff throughout the years. And again, they live in this world day in and day out. So that is really key. So that's what we do every January. Now, Winston and I, we have been doing the baby steps, you guys, for 15 years. Okay. So we are on baby step 7. And so what we do throughout the year is we save a little bit, throughout the year. And every single month we save. And so when it comes to January, we try to go ahead and max out our retirement. So up to, a Roth IRA, I think the max is $7,000 or $8,000 this year. So we go ahead and try to max out both of ours. We do that in January. That way it has the full year of growth. And when it comes to our 401k, if we have the money to do it, and again, it's our goal that we do, we go ahead and put all of our money in that and go ahead and max that out. And so that's what we want to do. And that's what we've worked towards. Now, we weren't able to do that early on, which is totally fine. But since we've been able to take our income and save a lot of it throughout the year for things that we want and need, but retirement is one of those things that we do have a priority in our life and in our budget for. So when that January hits, that is what we try to do. If we have to spread it throughout, February and March, we'll do that, but we try to do as much again at the beginning of the year as possible. We do have separate retirement accounts. I have my own Roth IRA. Winston has his Roth IRA. I have a 401k. He has a 401k. I have an HSA. And he has an HSA. And so again, we work on that. So when we talk about combining your accounts, that is one area you don't combine because you can make so much progress when it comes to investing. So those are things that we've done consistently. And again, it's something that it can kind of feel like a black hole. I'm not going to lie, because it is a lot of money that you feel like you're just like putting in these accounts. But here's what I know, and here's why I think it's important even every January to go and look at all the numbers, is to be able to see the growth and not be freaked out about what the market's doing. So I think for some people, they get freaked out by a news story that the market has dipped and they want to go and pull their money out, and they pull it out at the worst possible time. And so really focusing in on not every single day looking at your investments, and I wouldn't even say every single month, but once a year, I think it's good to get this full picture, because again, retirement investing for us, it is so future thinking. We're not worried about what's going on this week, next week, even next year, right? Because the market is going to do this. So again, it puts us in perspective to be able to say we're going to make decisions on the long-term basis versus the short-term. Now let's talk about one thing that we've recently started doing with our investing that's especially helpful for those of you that might be on baby step 7. And this is something called a backdoor Roth. So this is an option for high earners. So a backdoor Roth allows you to avoid Roth IRA income limits when you are converting your non-deductible traditional IRA contributions to a Roth IRA. So again, that Roth IRA, it has a limit of what you can put in. There's also an income limit. So if you make $161,000 as a single or $240,000 as a married couple filing jointly, you do not qualify for a Roth IRA. That's why you can do a backdoor Roth. So in really simple terms, again, get with a financial pro to do this, but you basically open up a traditional IRA, and then through the back door, you can sign that, and then you sign a Roth, and they just convert it over. So it's completely legal, and it works, which is great. They may not have that option forever, ever, amen. So take advantage of it while you can. However, it's not the best option if you fall into one of these categories. If your income doesn't exceed the limits of a regular Roth IRA, go ahead and you just open that. Also, if you need to withdraw your Roth IRA within 5 years of opening it, or you have multiple traditional IRAs, because when you actually roll it over to a Roth, you have to pay taxes. And when you fall under the prorated rules and all of it, it may make it extra challenging. It may not be worth it financially. So again, this is why you want to sit down with an investment professional to look at all of the details. Okay, I know this was a lot, and investing can be tricky. It can be a tedious game. That's why it's really important to start as soon as you can, though, to understand all of this and actually start implementing it. So again, this is why I recommend sitting down with a pro. You can click the link below to get connected with a professional today to start working towards your investment goals, because having somebody in your corner, you guys, is so key. And if you haven't already, check out my episode on 6 ways to earn passive income if you need more margin. All right, guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Some of the messiest and most stressful situations I've ever witnessed have come from mixing relationships and money. And you guys, it's a very complicated subject, but just to prove how crucial it is to have financial boundaries in your life, I'm going to share 3 co-signing nightmares that will make you stop in your tracks and rethink your whole life. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, when it comes to co-signing, in order to have a co-signer, it means that you have bad credit, which means you did not handle the debt that you have now well. So you don't have a good number. So the bank is like, we're not going to give you money unless we can have someone that's responsible. And then the responsible people are like, oh my gosh, sweet bill, needs a new car, and he can't get one. He has no money, and he has to get a loan, but he can't get a loan. So I'm gonna be on the loan with him because he will pay it. Yes, he will. And then he doesn't, and then you're just like, wait, what? And then you're stuck with it. So co-signing is one of the worst. So here are some Ramsey Show moments, you guys, where it proves it out. All right, so first up, we have Rebecca, and her ex-boyfriend bought $1 million ranch in cash, but put her name also on the deed of the ranch. And they weren't married yet. So this is not necessarily a co-signing situation, but they're already mingling finances and they're not married. So I was on this episode. I remember this well. Here's the clip.
Earlier this year, a boyfriend at the time of 2 years was ready to take the next step. And he wanted to move to my state, and he ended up purchasing a ranch, which is kind of like my dream property, for about $1 million. Paid cash, put me on the deed. And prior to that, I said, I don't feel comfortable doing this unless we are married. At that point, he was like, nope, we're going to get married. A venue was booked. A ring was purchased, and we move forward. He moves in for about 3 weeks, and then tries to almost trick me into signing the deed of the house into a trust while he's like planning his exit. And he left. So, which whole other set of emotional issues.
He paid cash?
He did.
Of $1 million for a property?
Yep.
And put your name on the deed?
Yes, sir.
And then he took off?
Yes, sir.
Wild. So I don't understand how he profits from this. It almost sounds like he was trying to scam. Is he just flighty or what?
I think he has some. I think he wants. He liked the idea of this. And I think
broke your heart in the process.
Wow. Broke my heart. I'm left to manage the whole 20 acres on my own and 6 animals.
It's not your house.
It's not my house.
Well, it's his $1 million, right?
Yeah, but I'm on the deed, so technically I am 50% owner. And my home, I rented it out, and I have tenants in there through the end of May.
So your point is you've been damaged by this fraud, and so financially, and so it would be ethical to receive something for that.
I don't know.
I think that's right. I think it cost you a good job, and
my home that I had.
Well, no, you own the home still.
Right.
You'll get it back in May, and and you will have rented it. You will have made money on it during that time. So I don't mind tagging him for $100,000 or something. I just don't. I don't know how you've been harmed much more than $100,000 unless you want to just be punitive, which honestly is probably okay. This guy kind of deserves it, but I'm kind of with you. I mean, I'm vacillating while I'm talking to you. You hear me? So I'm not sure. This is weird, and as you know. So, and you're not the weird one. So, yeah. Okay, I want to be made whole financially plus a little if I'm you. Past that, this is dirty money for me.
Right.
I got, and I don't want to live on this farm, this ranch.
Right.
That's got bad juju all over it. Right. If I'm you, I'm just.
Yeah, I'm
trying to put
there.
myself in your shoes.
Yeah, get me out of there.
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to walk away.
And legally, you're entitled to $500,000 legally, right? If her name's on the deed.
Yeah. Nothing this twerp can do about it. He stepped in it.
But the question is, what do you feel right about? Right, from just like a moral perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the being made whole plus a little bit more of what you're saying.
I would try. Do you have an ability to contact him? Yeah, I would have your attorney contact him and say, I will sign a deed to you for $200,000 or whatever the number is. Okay. And then I would go get an apartment and sell off the animals and get away from this whole thing.
And then go back to your house in May when the tenants move out.
Yeah, I would just get away from the whole thing.
Okay, I do love that Dave was like, you get like a love tax, basically, of like, Yeah, you get a little something if he sells the ranch, right? But yeah, you guys, you don't want to commingle finances when you're not married. And again, she was on the better end of the situation. Usually I feel like it's the guy calling, right? That's like, hey, I have this paid off ranch and my ex-girlfriend is on it. What do I do? Right? So always remember to keep it separate. Okay. Number 2, this one's interesting. Co-signing a loan for his church is what this guy was asking about. Okay, so let's watch this one together.
So I like my church. It's a good church. And there's building expansion. They've asked the senior members to co-sign on a loan for the expansion. And I listened to you and kind of a flag went up. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm kind of weird. I think churches ought to follow what the Bible says. And 17:18 Proverbs says, one lacking in sense co-signs for another.
Yeah, it's a $2.3 million. The church.
No. Stop. It ends right there. The Bible says, one lacking in sense co-signs for another. That includes a church, especially a church ought to be following the Bible. No way I'm doing this.
Okay. All righty.
No way.
Thanks.
It's bad. It's a bad idea.
But yeah, that's a wild one. Like mix in some spirituality dysfunction in the midst of that. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right, next, Nick is in trouble after co-signing a loan for a friend. But before we dive into his story, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Fairwinds Credit Union. When you are working the baby steps, your bank shouldn't be working against you. And that is why I love Fairwinds Credit Union. Their smart checking and savings bundle was literally designed to line up with the baby steps. So if you're ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, Fairwinds is what you've been looking for. Just head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open your smart checking and savings bundle today. And another company that's doing amazing work on your behalf is Delete Me. You guys, data brokers have gotten more creative and are actively becoming more of a threat. And they're out there on the internet collecting your data and selling it to data brokers and putting you at risk for scams and fraud. And this is why I love and use Delete Me, because Delete Me goes in and removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9, or just click the link in the description. All right, our third and final clip, is a co-sign situation with a friend. So here it is.
I co-signed on a loan for my friend 7 years ago now. With a verbal agreement that in a few years he's going to refinance and get me off. COVID hit, and he had a COVID assist program where they stopped paying on the loan, but obviously the interest rates were continuing to add up.
Yikes.
And then life happened, so he had surgery, so he went through a couple of rough times. Unfortunately, the good thing is he's still paying on the loan. The only bad thing was the original loan was for $367, and now because of the COVID program, it went up to $376. So after I just got married with my wife, and we want to start our life and buy our first home, and I reached out to him in regards to options of getting off the loan. Excuse me. And we tried to do a loan assumption, but his debt ratio was not where it needed to be because of, the surgeries and everything. So, and then I approached him in regards to, hey, let's refinance, even though it's going to be at a higher rate. It's going to be on you only. It's not on me anymore. I did my part as a friend of helping you get this house, but
and
the
what
agreement was, no, obviously he said no because of the rates not being low enough. And so my question for you would be, obviously we've been going back and forth with him about it. And I want to know what should be my next step.
The relationship can't be too good after all this, is it?
So no, so the relationship has definitely suffered, and
we're about to go to a hard break, Nick. But I mean, this is the hard thing about co-signing, Nick, is there aren't other options. I'm like, from a legal perspective, you signed a loan, and until your name is off of that loan, there's really not like a legal way to go about this or anything. I mean, it kind of is what it is, and so
you could try to see what a judge would say about it. I mean, to try to force a refi, but I don't know that they could do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This is why we say not to do this.
So this is a classic example, you guys, of when you attach yourself to someone else's financial picture, especially when it comes to debt and co-signing. You're opening yourself up to be like, hey, I mean, my future is reliant upon this person that wasn't good with debt in the first place and needed a co-signer to do what they said they're going to do. And not everyone that gets a co-sign loan, is bad. And I think most people, I want to believe, have the wherewithal to realize, okay, I'm going to try to pay this back. Like, I think their intent is good, but life happens. It's just like exactly what that call is. So please, for the love of God, please don't be a co-signer. Now, if you have never watched or listened to The Ramsey Show, it is full of real stories and financial questions just like these. And you can learn so much more on what to do and what not to do with your money just by listening in. And remember, financial boundaries, they can be tough to put in place, but they are an absolute must. So make sure to check out my episode, 3 Healthy Money Boundaries to Set with Family. You can go right here, click that. When it comes to relationships and money, this is really important. And if you're listening on podcast, I'll leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Hey, you guys. So a recent survey found that 28% of credit card users are still paying debt off from last Christmas. Yeah, that means they're still carrying their balance from Christmas of 2023. Now, I know the holidays, that can come with a lot of stress and expectations, but whether you're stuck with maybe some Christmas debt or maybe you're just craving a new start here in the new year, I want to share 3 simple steps to get rid of debt fast and avoid being part of that statistic in the future. Okay, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and send this episode to a friend. All right, first, I want to talk to those of you who are currently in this boat of credit card debt. Listen, do not beat yourself up, okay? I mean, I think it can be easy to get caught in this like shame spiral of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this, or we did spend too much, now I'm regretting it, whatever it may be. You're okay. You are okay. People that have credit card debts can pay it off. I'm telling you, you can do something different. And if you're not happy with where you are financially, that change can occur. I'm telling you that, I talk to so many people and they decide that they become someone completely different when it comes to their money and they get different outcomes. And Christmas and the holidays, it is a stressful time. So you are not the only one racking up credit card debt. And a lot of people don't have a lot of margin either when it comes to their money. So going into credit card debt for a lot of people, that is their reality. It's what happened. So just want to give you some encouragement. You can do something different if you don't like where you were. All right, let's talk about how to get out of debt. So if your pain is greater than the inconvenience of changing your habits, that's where you're going to see change. Meaning a lot of people just kind of maintain credit card debt. They just kind of pay the minimum payments and it's on autopilot. It's not a big deal. And they don't really have a lot of pain to it. They're kind of numb to it. Again, they run some numbers, do some calculations, and they're just kind of like, yeah, we're fine. So if that's you, there's probably not going to be a lot of change. But if you find yourself realizing, oh my gosh, we are paying so much in debt, maybe it's car payments and credit cards and a personal loan and a HELOC and a student loan, like it just keeps going and you feel like we are running so fast in life and we are making no progress when it comes to our money. And our spending is out of control because we don't know what we're spending. We're just charging everything on a credit card. And I'm tired. I'm tired of working so hard and having nothing to show for it. Like, or maybe you're losing sleep at night. Maybe your stress is so high. Like whatever that pain is that happens, that usually has to hit first in order for change to occur. Around Ramsey, we call it the I've had it moment. It's like this moment of, I'm done. I'm so tired of what I've been doing. I need to do something different. So that is really key to all of this when it comes to paying off debt because it's going to take some sacrifice. which leads us to number 2, the way to pay off debt. This method is so crucial. It is the method of the debt snowball, way of paying off debt. So some people pay off the highest interest rate first, but we have found that it is way more effective when you start with the smallest debt first, because you will realize that in order to change your behavior, like we were talking about, you have to have some quick wins. You have to have that motivation to say, oh yeah, what I'm doing is working. So by paying off that smallest debt first, that's what happens. You realize, oh, I can do it. Maybe it's a $700 credit card payment, debt that you have, a bill. You pay it off and you're like, okay, I did it. And then you go over to the second smallest debt. And as you keep going too, what happens is you're freeing up the minimum payments on all the debts that you've already paid off, which leave you more margin to put more of that money towards the next debt. So it is powerful. So list out all of your debts, smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate, pay minimum payments on everything, and pay that smallest one off first. So that is how to get out of debt if you want to. Your pain has to be pretty great because it's going to take some sacrifice. And then number 2, start with the method of paying the smallest one off first. And also I'll throw in there, get an extra job, get a side hustle, add an extra $800 a month or more to your monthly budget in order to throw this at the debt. Cut expenses, do a budget and say, we're not eating out. We're not going shopping. We're not doing any of this. We are taking all of our money we have and throwing it at this debt. All right, before I share the next step, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. I saw a headline recently that really caught my attention. 1/3 of the U.S. population's background info is now public. So for 115 million of us, data breaches mean that our info is out there for anyone to find. And this is stuff like our names, addresses, phone numbers, and even more. And this is why I love and use Delete Me, because they find and remove your information from hundreds of data broker websites that buy, sell, and trade your personal data. So take control of your online privacy with Delete Me. Individual Delete Me plans start as low as $9 a month. Sign up today at joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, or click the link in the description. All right. Number 3 is to avoid future debt, especially around this time of year, by thinking ahead. So in order to not go deeper into debt, you have to plan, you guys. And this can be planning for times like this with the holidays, right? So a lot of people put a lot of Christmas on their credit cards and they're still paying it off a year later. So start planning for that. We all know Christmas is in December every single year. And maybe you start buying gifts on Black Friday, right? In November. Like, this stuff is coming. So just put a reminder on your phone in May to set some money aside, right? Or even July. That gives you 6 months till December to plan and set aside some money. So when December comes and you start shopping, you have the money for it. So this is called a sinking fund. When you look ahead for large expenses coming up in the future and you do, you save a little bit every single month. And so this is really, really helpful. So I would say planning for that is big. And then also planning for emergencies. This is why the emergency fund is key. I want you to start off with a $1,000 emergency fund. And then once all your debt is paid off, you can bump that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses. But being able to plan, knowing that things are going to happen, things are going to come up. And instead of going deeper into credit card debt for those things, you have money in the bank saved. And that's really, really key. So planning for the future is really, really important. So you can do all of this, saving for Christmas next year, even, having the goal for an emergency fund. You can do all of this in the EveryDollar app. So the EveryDollar app is fantastic because it's helping you budget every single month. And I'll put a link in the description, check it out, but you can build your first budget for free. And I love this app because it goes with you everywhere you go because your phone is always attached to you. And you're able to see, okay, what money do we have left in each category? We're able to plan ahead. You're able to do these sinking funds within it. It's really, really great. It's a very, very helpful tool. So make sure to check it out. Now that you know how to get out of debt, if you are curious about how to pay it off even faster, I have an episode all about that. You can check it out right here. Or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.
So one of the questions I get asked all the time when people find out that I don't have a credit card is, how do you travel? How do you online shop? How do you rent a car? How do you do all this? And the simple answer is a debit card. Debit card will do everything a credit card will do except get you into debt. Now, with a credit card, obviously people are used to credit cards, so there's really no friction. With a debit card, chances are that there's a rental car company that won't rent to you, but Winston and I rent all the time, so find another company. Online, again, you can use a debit card. It works. Basically anything. So the whole idea that you have to have a credit card just for basic life necessities to use in 2023 can be solved with a debit card. Your money coming out of your account. And the great thing is too, statistically, you will save money by doing this because so many studies show that when you spend with a credit card, you emotionally are not connected to that money. So you tend to spend anywhere from 12 to 18% more on a credit card versus a debit card. You swipe a debit card and you know that this money is coming out of your accounts. Your own money is being spent, so you think twice, even subconsciously, about the purchase. So debit cards is the way to go.
Your income is the most powerful tool that you have when it comes to building wealth. And the good news is that the vast majority of people already have margin in their budget. They just need help finding it. So today, that is what we're going to do. And I'm going to take you through the 24-hour Money Finder Challenge because on average, people that complete this challenge find an extra $400 in their budget. But before we begin, make sure to click subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Now listen, anyone can create a monthly budget, but in order to be successful with it, you actually have to stick to it. So make sure to go download the EveryDollar app. So this is a budgeting app that is going to help you when it comes to your numbers and to know where your money's going. So in order to find the margin we were talking about earlier, you want to be able to build out what you spend every single month. In order to do that, a couple of things you want to do. First, you want to go back and look at last month's expenses. So go and look at your spending from last month, and that's going to help you pull numbers to this month's budget. Because again, you want to get this rough idea of like, hey, here's what I think we are spending in each category. And listen, it doesn't have to be like specific dollar amounts. You have to type in every single cent. Just kind of round up and get an idea of, hey, here's where our money is going. And so when you're able to look back at last month, remember though, the numbers you're pulling from last month is when you didn't have a budget. So as you're pulling them forward to this month, as you're creating your first budget, those numbers that you're putting in may be a little big. You know, when you're doing a budget, what you're going to realize is that you're going to be able to save money because you're purposeful with where your money's going. When you don't live with a budget, you're more natural to overspend and to go and just, spend where you want and when you want. But when you have a budget, it's actually a plan. So we do find that when people live on a budget, they actually save money and are able to cut back on some of those categories. So again, when you're looking at the budgets from the numbers you've already pulled from last month, put those in. But no, these are numbers from when you didn't have a budget. So the first area of the budget I want you to focus on, though, is food. So out of these food expenses, there's really 3 different categories. There's groceries. So again, you're going to go back and be like, okay, what did we spend on groceries, throughout the month? Second is restaurants. And this is where you're going to be going out to eat. So, and I would include, again, restaurants. This could be fast food. Anytime you're going out to eat, make sure to put that in the budget. And then miscellaneous. So this could be like snacks. This could be like a Starbucks drink going to work. This could be like, $15 for popcorn at the basketball game. Like whatever it is that you see that, you are spending money on miscellaneously throughout the food category, you want to put that in. So within the food category, you're going to have groceries, restaurants, and kind of miscellaneous. So as you're pulling those numbers from last month, maybe you go through and realize, okay, groceries, gosh, that's a pretty high number. If I really, meal planned and focused on this, I probably could cut back a little bit. Or maybe some of the miscellaneous categories, in the food area, you're like, oh yeah, we really didn't need that. We probably got too much there. That could lower as well. So again, you're trying to find some margin on what you could be doing next month better than last month. All right, next is shopping and subscriptions. So you're going to write out all of these expenses that fall under these 3 categories and then actually cross out some things that are unnecessary. So number 1 is just shopping. Think about all the Target purchasing you're doing. Maybe you saw some shoes on Amazon that you bought. Maybe it was some little treats. Like whatever is going on in the shopping part of your life, look at all those transactions from last month, add them up, but then go through and think, okay, I didn't really need that. Oh, I could have gone lower here, and find some margin there. Number 2 is subscriptions and memberships. Go ahead and eliminate anything that you're not using. And I would even challenge you to cut down to maybe just 1 or 2 streaming services. It's amazing how often we can like add up all of these and it's like, oh yeah, HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu. And it's like you're adding all of these, but you're paying for them every single month. So condense those down and say, hey, let's just try to do 1 or 2 streaming services. And then any memberships that you're not using, go ahead and cancel those and cross those out. There should be some margin in that category. Number 3 is miscellaneous in the shopping sphere of your life. So think, movies or concerts, sporting events, like anything that you went to or spent money on. It's a little bit miscellaneous, kind of in that shopping genre of life. Maybe you say, hey, we could maybe cross some of this out, especially if you're needing some extra margin. You guys think through, yeah, we don't have to go to that, this to find some margin. And again, there should be some money freed up there. All right, part 3 that you're going to look at, which is really big, is insurance. And this is also a perfect time to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. So when you go against what society thinks is normal, like avoiding debt, for example, it might feel and seem a little weird, and that is totally okay. Because it's good to be weird if that means that you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. One way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month. Find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All right, so the third piece of this pie, again, is insurance. And our insurance checkup can really help you because when you go through it, you're going to enter in lots of information, but what it's going to able to show you is what you need to be protected when it comes to insurance. So there's certain coverages maybe you have that you don't need and some coverages maybe that you're missing. So again, when you're doing this insurance checkup, you're going to enter in a lot of information: age, marital status, dependent status, employed or unemployed, homeowner, renter, credit report. Like there's so much there. But then number 2, it will ask you about your current insurance coverage. So it's going to ask you about auto, homeowners, renters, health insurance, and more. These aren't the only financial categories that matter when you're keeping a monthly budget and working towards building wealth, but these are the areas that people tend to overspend. So again, remember the big categories: food. Number 2 is shopping and subscriptions, kind of that lifestyle category. And number 3 is insurance. So when you tend to overspend on all those areas, it's hard to find margin. But when you tighten those up, you're going to find margin very, very quickly. Now, if you're following along and doing the 24-hour Money Finder Challenge with me, make sure to comment how much cash that you have been able to find, because it's been so fun hearing from you guys. And if you are just listening or observing and want to see your own results like this, make sure to click the link below to get started. All right, you guys, good luck creating some of that margin. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. In terms of spending, sometimes it's helpful to know where you fall compared to the quote-unquote average American. So today, we're specifically looking at grocery spending because it is a massive pain point. This one expense always in people's budget seems to go over. So make sure to stick around to see where you fall with all of the averages and how you can save money every month. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, you guys, so here are a few numbers to kind of give you a clear picture of the grocery cost landscape out there. And these are based on a few factors, but these numbers are monthly. So the USDA estimates per month that one person's food budget is around $297 to $558 for one person's food budget. So again, I like rounding numbers, so like $300 to $550. Next is $614 to $963 per couple. So if it's just a couple, you got about $600 to $950. And then for a family of 4, you average Americans out there, you families out there, $996 to $1,603. So $1,000 to $1,500, basically, if you are a family of 4. Now, some of you may be kind of like freaking out because either you're like, oh my gosh, we're way over, or maybe some of you were like, oh, we're way under. And I'm going to be honest, when I saw those numbers, I immediately went to the grocery line item in my every dollar budget. And I was like, all right, we're doing pretty good. We're actually a little bit below the family average, if I'm being honest, with the Cruze budget. And then what I didn't calculate in my head was Costco. And Costco's its own separate line item in our budget. And I thought, oh, if you had Costco, then we're probably right back there at the average. But again, always kind of knowing where you're at is helpful just to know, okay, are we under, are we over? And again, depending on your situation, you may not have a lot of control over it. But again, just kind of comparing, it's good to know. Now, if you feel like inflation has affected your family's grocery spending, then you are not wrong, because Americans spent approximately 2.4% more on groceries from March of 2024 to March of 2025. And again, 2.4% may not feel like a lot, but when you're looking at those numbers, a bump month after month, you're going to feel that. Okay, so now that we've talked about your what and why this is happening, let's talk about how. So how much should you be spending per month depending on your financial status and your goals? Now, regardless of where you are, you guys, you need to be budgeting. When you know how much you plan on spending and you stay within that number, that's going to give you such control and such power. EveryDollar is my favorite budgeting app. You can download it. I'll put a link down below. But this is going to help you actually keep track and know how much you're spending per month. So let's look at the breakdown, though, of what the USDA says as of 2025, what you should be spending on groceries. So for singles, if you do a thrifty or a low cost plan, that'll cost you around $297 to $372. Now, I like round numbers, so you got about $300 to $350. A moderate plan would be $386 to $458. So closer to that $400, $450 range. And then more of a liberal plan. You're just spending where you want to spend. Around $493 to $558. So $500 to $550. Those are for singles. All right, couples, if you want a thrifty or low-cost plan, $614 to $627. That range is not a lot, so right over $600. A moderate plan is going to cost you $774 plus, and more of a liberal plan, it's going to be $963 plus. So when you look at that as a couple, that's what you're seeing the breakdown as. Now, as a family of four, if you want a low-cost plan, it's going to be around $996 to $1,076. So right at that $1,000 mark. If you can grocery shop for $1,000 as a family per month, you're doing good. Now, a moderate plan, you bump it up, get a little bit bougier, that's going to be $1,326. And then the big plan, the liberal plan, where you're just spending and enjoying, that is $1,603. Now, before I share my recent go-to grocery hack, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. So more than 100 million Americans carry medical debt, which shows that traditional coverage often leaves people to face big bills alone. So families need more than just coverage. They need community. And that's why I love Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is a budget-friendly, faith-based alternative to health insurance, and they've paid over $12 billion in medical bills. I mean, that is faith in action. With CHM, there are no networks, no insurance headaches. CHM is where your faith and your finances agree. So go to chministries.org/budget to learn more today. All right, so when it comes to grocery shopping, if those numbers freaked you out, if you just thought, we can do better. Because I'll be honest, that's even how we are. Like, you kind of get into this pattern of where you shop and what you buy. And ours is pretty consistent, I would say, most weeks. But when you just think, hey, we need to uproot all of this and we need to figure out a way to save money, can I tell you, the best hack that I have, and I'm not kidding, it is literally still shocking to me how amazing it is. That is shopping at Aldi. Y'all, Aldi is incredible. So you're going to get more of like a basic shopping experience. But when I tell you that we have saved hundreds of dollars per month, that is what we have found. Now, Aldi, on average, is saving shoppers up to 36% for households on their shopping list. And a family of four, you guys, that's almost $4,000 a year that they are saving just by shopping at Aldi. So when I talk about college and avoiding student loans and all that whole conversation, I always say the number one mistake people make is where they go to school. That school choice is going to factor in whether you're going to hit your budget or not when it comes to tuition. The same is true with groceries. If you go shop at the nice organic store, it's not bad if it's in your budget and that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if you're looking at ways to save money, and I'm going to say even save time, because the simplicity of Aldi, I have found, like, I'm in and out faster, is to be able to say, okay, where I shop, the moment I step into a store, that's going to really determine how much I spend. So why is it so cheap? Well, it's because they do a lot of small, subtle things to cut the overall cost for you. So think about this. There's no music in Aldi. So when you go in, you're not hearing like, I don't know, whatever the musics are, because they're not paying royalty payments. So they're saving money as a store, which is going, again, back to you as the consumer. You pay for and put your cart up yourself. So you do have to have a quarter, and I've learned this, but you slide that quarter in and you get a cart, shop. You return it, you get your quarter back. But that means that they have minimal staff so that they don't have to have people that they pay to go and return carts. Because for some people, that's their full-time job. They go and gather carts in the parking lot and bring it back. There's none of that. And also overall, they have minimal staff. So sometimes the shelves are not fully unpacked. So it can kind of feel like a Costco vibe to a degree, where it's still like the big boxes that you see and you just take out of the boxes. But for me, it is, I'm like, all day. And then even their variety, y'all, there's not like an overwhelming amount. Some grocery stores that I would shop at, it's like, I need cheddar cheese. And there's like literally 84 different versions. And I always end up grabbing the same one. But this one, it was like, oh no, there's like 3 or 4 you get to choose from, or whatever it is. And you're like, thank you. Like, even the mental calories of having to choose things is slimmed down. So I love it. Now, if you need a spending check in other categories outside of food, make sure to check out my episode, 5 Quick Ways to Cut Costs, Even If You Overspend. Click right here to check it out. Or if you're listening on podcast, I'll put a link in the description. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. You've probably heard of spring cleaning, but hear me out. What about a fall reset? Yes, we are in that time of the year, you guys. So whether you have kids that are going back to school or maybe not, fall does always feel like a fresh start, because we have the holidays coming up here at the end of the year. But also you may be thinking, okay, how can I clean up my life and my money to really like end the year well? So we're going to talk about that. Now, before I share more, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, if you need a fall reset when it comes to your life and your money, number 1, get back on budgets. I know it is so easy to get out of the habit, especially in summer months, because you're just enjoying life. You're like, oh, it's fine. But listen, getting back on track and knowing where your paycheck is going is going to help you so much. So maybe you kind of slipped up some this summer, but don't worry, you can recover and you can do this. And Every Dollar is the best budgeting app out there to help you. But when it comes to your life and your money, again, getting back on budget, especially in the fall, heading into the holidays, is going to be so great. Okay, number 2, once you have downloaded Every Dollar, then go through and comb out some of your line items if you've had this budget and you've been using it, and kind of clean it up. So what I mean by that is, if you've been budgeting for a while, and maybe again this summer you kind of were a little bit more like lazy with it, go back and see, okay, realistically, what does life look like moving forward? Are there areas that we have budgeted and we don't end up spending that much, and that's been consistent for months and months and months? Is it that we keep going over in a certain category, so we're having to change it? Clean that up. Like, just kind of have a fresh start, go through, and it's going to feel good. All right, number 3 is also reevaluate your big spending, saving, and investing goals to make them more realistic. So if you had big goals in January, this is a great time to reevaluate, because the worst thing is if you're like, I'm going to save $1,000 a month. And you're like, nope, I've only been saving half of that. So my goal is going to come in at half. Then change it, right? Maybe make it a little bit of a challenge for you, but don't go through with a goal that you know is not going to happen. That's only defeating. So change some things if you need to. Be realistic about it, because we're halfway through the year, and you can look into the fall and say, okay, what do I need to reassess when it comes to my goals? Now, one of the best resets that you can do is having Delete Me, because they go in and remove your personal info from unknown internet sites. Because if you don't remove your personal data, it's basically like a billboard with your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And then those data brokers then sell your data, which makes me so mad. They make money off you. And then that puts you at more risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data to help protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use Delete Me, and it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for it, Delete Me, and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off annual plans, and that will bring your monthly cost to under $9. Or you can just click the link in the description. All right, number 4, as we're kind of doing our fall reset, start planning for expenses coming up for the rest of the year. Okay, so you're going to be looking ahead. Back to school's coming. Be thinking about that. There's Labor Day if you have plans. Halloween is coming up soon. Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays. I mean, literally, you guys, it's insane. The last half of the year just flies. So be looking and say, okay, as I'm going into the fall, what are line items I maybe need to add to the budget so that we can be saving month after month to prepare for these things? Because, I mean, geez, Halloween now is so expensive. It feels like all the candy and the costumes, and then you get into Thanksgiving, and then Christmas is insane. So just make sure that you are planning ahead of time. This is your fair warning. Plan ahead. All right, number 5 is to identify routines that you lost and bring them back. So I know for us, bedtime's out the window this summer. My kids are at the age like they don't do naps anymore. They can stay up later. So it's been so fun, but they are up late. And I'm going to be honest, I'm very flexible in screen use when it comes to summer. So my kids, they'll like watch shows or they'll do stuff. Like we play outside and do those kind of things. But I also am like, So usually I'm very strict when it comes to screen time, but not as much when it comes to the summer. So we got to bring that back. And then also meal planning. I'm usually pretty good at this, but sometimes summer it's like, oh, there's people over. We'll just order pizza. I do this all the time. I did this last week. All the kids had friends over and I was like, we're supposed to make spaghetti. And I was like, it's fine. We'll just order some pizza. It'll be fine. So we're going to get back to our meal planning and stay on track, which is always helpful. So listen, I firmly believe that budgeting is one of the non-negotiables when it comes to winning with money. So that needs to be a part of your plan as we kind of talked about this reset. It really is key, you guys. So if you have fallen off the wagon, get back on. This is like the second part of the calendar year going into the fall, and we can do this. So if you do feel like you've been off budget, I get it, because I did an experiment where I didn't budget for 2 weeks. So you can check out my episode all about that. You can click here, or if you're listening on podcast, I'll put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys, have you ever been tempted just not to take investing so seriously? Okay, listen, go with me for a second. Most of us can recognize that saving for retirement is very important, but if you're anything like me, investing 15% month after month, year after year, decade after decade can start to feel a little redundant. And I was just talking about this on Smart Money Happy Hour the other day because I was like, well, what if I just took a year off? You know, would it be that big of a deal? Come on. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. Okay, because here's the thing, is that you won't fully experience, though, the benefits of investing till later in life. And so sometimes it feels like you're just throwing your money into a black hole and you're never going to see it again. But deep down, of course, we know we got to stay on track, okay? The consistency is what is really key when it comes to investing. And investing in retirement is the ultimate example of delayed gratification. But it is hard to commit to anything if you don't know the why behind it. So today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why you should stay on the investment roller coaster ride. Because investing is like this. It is up and down, but you stay on that ride. So there was a guy that called into the Ramsey Show and he was asking if he could cash out his Roth IRA to pay off his loans. And his argument is that he wouldn't be taxed or penalized. And because of that, it felt like a reasonable thing to do, you know, to get yourself out of debt. And honestly, I get the urge to want to pay off debt as quickly as possible because you don't want to live in this chaos and stress anymore. You know, you really want to handle it immediately. But it's so important to understand that the money that you set aside for retirement will only reach its maximum potential for growth if you leave it untouched. And listen, I love to lean into the gray areas of life, but this one is kind of a black and white issue. You should never dip into retirement savings early, and there's really 3 main reasons for this. Before I explain that, I want to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable, and that's Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider that you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. And with no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. So find out more at chministries.org/budget. All right, the first reason that you should never get off the investing roller coaster is because no one can predict the trajectory of the market. So don't let your amateur investor bros on the internet convince you to like play the game, you can hack the system and time the market. You're not supposed to constantly be checking every little movement of the market and pivot because of it. Most of investing, you guys, majority of it is for a long period of time. So you don't go and watch the news and just see, oh my gosh, well, today it's this, tomorrow it's that. Oh my gosh, what are this, that? No, investing is for the long term. Slow and steady wins the race. Think about a crock pot versus a microwave. And the earlier you start this and the more consistent you are, the better off you're going to be. So don't let tiny trends or, growth or loss day to day throw you off, okay? Just trust the process and recognize that your investments need time to develop and grow. So whether you've had a 401k for years or you're a total beginner, one of the best tricks that I think is important when it comes to investing is working with a professional. So I will leave a link for you to connect with a pro so that you can really have peace of mind when it comes to all these details. So write it out. Now, I will say if you sit down with your financial advisor and they're like, hey, this one fund over the last 5 years, it's not really doing great, but these over here, and maybe you change your strategy within it, which is fine, and that's great to do. But don't let just that day-to-day, that of what the market's doing, throw you off, and don't jump off the roller coaster. Stay on. All right, the second reason to stay on the investment roller coaster is to avoid unnecessary taxes and penalties. So first of all, investments aren't there to replace your everyday savings. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But second, taking your money from your investments specifically, whether it's a Roth or a 401k, specifically for retirement, will result in taxes and fees and penalties. So for example, if you draw money from your 401k too early, there's a 10% penalty plus the taxes on whatever that you've taken out. And the IRS usually withholds 20% automatically. Now with a traditional IRA, if you withdraw that money before you're 59 and a half, you get another 10% penalty plus federal and state income tax on the amount that you've taken out. And just know, you guys, taking money out of things like a Roth IRA or a 401k, you are unplugging compound interest, which is not good. Okay, we do not want that. Now, if you need money, this is why you need an emergency fund. This is where you have cash available to you sitting in a high yield savings account, okay? You want 3 to 6 months of expenses. So when something comes up, you don't have to go and dip into your investments or your retirement, which again is going to take you off the train. You have cash to be able to do that. And again, you want to be able to stay on that investment train as long as possible. So that is why having money in an emergency fund is so key. All right, the third reason to stay on the investment roller coaster is compound interest. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you guys, this is the most powerful way mathematically to build wealth. Compound interest just means that your earnings compound over time. So let's run some numbers with the Ramsey investment calculator, shall we? Let's say you start investing $200 a month when you graduate college at 22 and you retire at 65. With an annual return of 10%, you would have over $1.7 million in investments, even though you only contributed about $100,000 of your own money in those 43 years. That's $1.6 million of free money, you guys. I mean, it's crazy. So what happens is you put your money in, so your $200, you make 10% on that. Well, the next year, you put $200 more in, and you're not making interest on just what you put in. You're going to make it on the interest that you got the year before as well. So what happens, again, that compounding is what is so key. Or maybe you started a little bit later, and so now you're contributing a higher amount every month. So let's say that you invested $800 a month, starting from age 30 and all the way to 65. You're going to have over $3 million in those accounts. And that means you only put in $336,000. I mean, it's crazy, you guys. The momentum is insane. And you basically, if you get off that investment roller coaster, you interrupt that flow and that growth by cashing out money early. So don't stay in. Play the long game. And just picture of like, oh my gosh, you're going to be so bougie at retirement and it's going to be great because you're going to have money to live that bougie lifestyle, which is wonderful. And investing really is a proof that slow and steady wins the race. And the earlier you can start, the better off you're going to be. I am a fan of investing. Do it, you guys. It is like one of the best things that you can do with your money. Let your interests work for you. So make sure to check out my episode all about investing for total beginners. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Did you know that there are 7 money tendencies that everyone has? Well, I wrote a book a few years ago called Know Yourself, Know Your Money, and that is where I covered 7 money tendencies that I constantly saw people have. And again, these tendencies are actively affecting your ability to build wealth, whether you realize it or not. And today, I want to share those with you so that you can kind of quiz yourself and figure out, like, okay, where am I on this spectrum of like, is this like good? Is this bad? But listen, we all have room for improvement, but also we are naturally who we are, and we're going to celebrate that. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this channel and share this episode with a friend. All right, to clarify, the point of this is to be intentional, not judgmental. So there are some money tendencies that people have, and they feel like, oh my gosh, is this like a bad tendency to have or an okay tendency? And I don't think there's a right or wrong to this. I think the extremes on either end can be unhealthy. So we're going to talk about, hey, there are strengths, there are weaknesses, and all around we can all grow when it comes to our outlook on money, but yet we don't change who we are. So we're going to talk all through it. And then I'm going to challenge each type as we go and comment below as we go because I want to know which ones you relate to. All right, the first money tendency, it's an easy one. Spender versus saver. So just kind of knee-jerk reaction. Where are you on the spectrum, right? You have savers over here, spenders over here. Where are you? I am naturally a spender. So if you're like me, a good challenge for us is to prioritize savings. Now, we can start small with this, but if you are a natural spender, saving is going to be more difficult. So again, putting something consistent in your life and in the rhythm of your budget to be saving is really important. Now, savers, you don't get a pass. Some people just like celebrate savers, like you're just the good money one. Not necessarily, because for some savers, again, they hold their money so tightly because all they want to do is save. So my challenge to you is create a budget and put a line item in there that just brings you some joy, where you are going to have to force yourself to spend money on just things that you want, right? And it may not be a high dollar amount in your budget for it, but practicing enjoying your money, because you don't want to just spend all your money. You also don't want to save all your money. You want a balance of both. So you want to enjoy it. So you savers out there, spend a little. The second money tendency is a nerd or a free spirit. So if you followed Ramsey any amount of time, this is kind of the words we've coined for people, especially when it comes to the budget. So when you are a nerd, if you're on that side of the playing field, it's like, yeah, you just like love budgets, you love numbers, you love Excel, you love being in control of your money. Free spirits, a little bit more like, hey, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't freak out and stress yourself out. We will figure it out. No big deal. I lean more on the free spirit side when it comes to money. But if you're a nerd, this is your challenge. I want you to practice flexibility, because if you live and die by the rules, you're going to wear yourself out and the people around you. So just listen, processes are great. We want to be wise, but sometimes it's okay to like have some life happen. Now, free spirits, I'm going to say for you, we got to kind of rein ourselves in at times. And I want you to set an intentional goal or a habit. The thing is, if you don't do this, if you don't actually force yourself in a rhythm of managing your money, doing a budget, telling it where to go, you're going to look up when it's time for retirement and be like, oh my gosh, we have just been unprepared my whole life because I've just kind of just been going with the flow. So your challenge is to get a process in place. All right, money tendency number 3 is, are you an experience person or a things person? So let me explain. When you spend money, would you rather spend money on experiences? So a great dinner out with friends, going to a concert, going on a great trip, or do you like things? Like you want to buy something, have your money be used for something that you can use in your life to better your life. So those are the 2 buckets. I lean more towards experiences for sure. Now, if you lean towards things, that's not a bad thing, okay? My husband once said he's like this. He's like, I would rather save for a nice pair of boots that I can wear over and over and over again. Or I want to save, he did like bought a cold plunge this year. And he's like, I just want to like have a nice cold plunge because I'm going to use it, right? So like he likes things that are utility that he can use. And again, not a bad thing. It's just where you lean and knowing your tendency. So this challenge is actually a joint challenge. And that is to simply communicate with the people around you. So if you are married, the challenge is, hey, ask your spouse, and you may already know, but be like, okay, where do you naturally tend to bend when it comes to spending your money. Now, if you know my love for Amazon, then you could probably guess which category I fall under for the next money tendency. But before I share more, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. You know, we spend so much of our lives online. We're on social media, but we're also shopping and banking, and everything we do is on the internet these days. So our names, addresses, work history, phone numbers, email addresses, and more are out there for bad guys to exploit. And we need to protect ourselves. That is why I love and use Delete Me. Delete Me finds and removes your information from hundreds of data broker websites that buy, sell, and trade your personal data. So take control of your online privacy today and find peace of mind with Delete Me. Individual Delete Me plans start as low as $9 a month. So sign up today at joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, or click the link in the description. All right, money tendency number 4 is, are you a quality person or a quantity person? Quality, obviously, it's like, I need 2 nice pairs of shoes. It's great. Quantity is like, oh, they can be cheap, don't need to be nice, and I want 6 pairs and I'll get new ones next year. Where do you kind of lean? I am quantity. I like having options. I don't need like super nice stuff. I'm like, just give me options. Options are fun for me. I enjoy it more. Again, my husband is a quality person for sure. So it's good to know kind of where you lean, because it's going to really inform how you spend your money. So if you are a quality person, here's your challenge. Ask yourself if it's really necessary for you to spend more on a special version of like that thing, because sometimes you can get a lower quality thing at a lower price and it's fine. But sometimes when you're like obsessed with quality and you're like, no, it has to be like this real leather, that like you get really specific. Sometimes it doesn't need to be the case. So maybe kind of like find some things in your life that like you don't maybe need the quality, and it's okay to go a little cheaper. You'll save some money that way. Now, if you are a quantity person, here's your challenge. I'm saying this to me, is to try the minimalist exercise, or even just do like a closet clean out or the consumption challenge. Like, get rid of your crap. Okay, because I know you quantity people out there, because it's me. You just have so much crap, and then you look up and it's been 3 years, and you're like, I haven't worn those earrings in 2 years. Why are they still here? Like, get rid of your stuff, because I do believe when you are organized and you have less things, there is more of this peace of mind. There really is. And so while it's not always bad, make sure you are cleaning out your stuff if that's how you're choosing to live. And again, I'm saying this to me too. So that's our challenge. Get rid of some stuff. All right, money tendency number 5 is, are you a safety person or a status person? So what I mean by this is the motivation of why you want to do well with your money. Why is that? And for some people, it's safety. It's like, I just want to be taken care of, knowing that I have enough money and it's fine. And then status people, which is not a bad thing. Status, I feel like, can sound bad, but it's more like, oh yeah, I want to win with money because I want to do things. Like I want to get a fun car and I want to go on a great trip. Like I'm doing this so that I can live out a fun life. So knowing where you are, again, is your motivation on why you want to handle money well and win with money long term. So if you are a safety person, here's my challenge to you, is to make sure that your value of safety doesn't cause you to live in fear. Because some people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose everything. Or, you kind of can end up being in this hoarder mentality of like, I just need more savings and more savings and more safety and more safety. And there's a point of wisdom in that, right? We talk about the emergency fund. Like I'm all for that. But there is a point in life that more money doesn't always bring more security. And so digging into that part of your life and your story, I think is really important. If you're a status person, this is me, check your gut and make sure that you're not just splurging on status symbols to make yourself feel good, and your reputation and your self-worth might be in the wrong place. And if we think, if I just had the nicer car, if I went on the better vacation, somehow like I'm going to find more joy in life. It's not true. That's not going to happen. So while you can enjoy those things and it's fun, and again, enjoy it, but your identity and who you are cannot be wrapped up in those things. And we can lean that way very easily. So make sure to check yourself on that one. Money tendency number 6 is the abundance person or the scarcity person. So we always hear about an abundance mentality or a scarcity mentality. So abundance mentality, it's like, oh yeah, there's more of everything. There's more money to get, more options out there. We're going to be fine. Just more decisions. We'll make different ones. Like it's great. Lots of things out there. It'll be fine. The scarcity person is like, nope, something bad's going to happen. We don't need to make too many rash decisions. We're going to play it real safe because we don't want anything to happen. And so they're less averse to risking anything. So if you are an abundance person, here is your challenge. I want you to channel that positivity about life into your financial goals, because I want you to, again, take this idea of like, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. And it is, but you want to make sure that your decision-making process throughout that is wise and that you're going in the right direction. That's really important. And if you're a scarcity person, just remember, like, God's in control. It's okay. Okay. And I think sometimes abundance and progress really does require faith in God to bring your work to fruition. So like there is this idea that I can control everything. And if I just like make the right decision, everything's going to be okay. And there's a little bit sometimes of life that like we can do what we can be wise, but also like we can't control everything. So there's a level of trust in God in that I think is really important. All right, the last money tendency, number 7, is, are you a spontaneous giver or a planned giver? Spontaneous giver, it's like, oh yeah, you see something or someone or an organization, you're like, here's my 401k, like take all my money. It's just like, I'm going to just give you what I have in the moment. And you just feel like, yep, I'm led that way. Versus a planned person plans out the giving. They research the organization. They make sure everything's legitimate. They don't go off of emotion. They go off of a plan, and they're very wise in particular with their giving. So if you are a spontaneous giver, then your challenge is that money isn't the only way to be generous. And sometimes it's wise, to cover your own bases first so that you can give your time and energy over. Because sometimes spontaneous givers, like, they just give when they're not really thinking always about the needs of their own household first. Now, a planned person, if you're a planned giver, my challenge to you is put some cash aside in your budget for unexpected generosity, because things will come up, and plan for that. But have the freedom to have some spontaneous giving in your life, because I think that is a really good thing. So no matter what your natural tendencies are, my number one tip that I want you to take away from this is that neither is right or wrong. You are who you are, but we can all grow. And I think the key to these spectrums is like kind of finding that middle ground, which is really important because we need both of these, right? Both sides of the coin are important, but be self-aware of know how you're wired, and then be self-aware of how that's affecting others. And if you want to grab a copy of my book, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, we talk a lot more about this in the book. I will leave a link down below. And for more natural tendencies that might need tweaking, make sure to check out my episode with Dave Ramsey on money habits you need to change right now. So click here, or if you're listening on podcasts, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.